never gonna see a report on it. But I mean, the same way where like it would be ill advised of a hotel to keep the staffing plans that they had from 6 months ago, 2 months out. If you see like data doesn't lie, right?
Sure.
If the demand isn't there, like a month out, weeks out, like these people are coming from other countries. You would know if they were coming.
Yeah.
So it would be irresponsible to keep those staffing levels. So think of that from an activation standpoint. I could imagine a lot of brands are pulling back, scaling down, especially if they're not official FIFA sponsors, right? They're just doing activations around FIFA
Sure.
because if if you're only servicing if most of your people are from the city, there's no real demand there for the activation, right? It's for the
Yeah.
people around the world. So you're not going to get the return if you're just servicing people in the city. They
Sure.
live here already, right? Like that's not.
Well,
You
that's
don't have to sell them on the city. We live here.
yeah. I mean, you maybe have large brands like Coca-Cola that's like, yeah, we're international, so it makes sense for us to
Yeah.
drop. But like,
And they're gonna do
Home,
it anyway, right? They
Yeah.
paid the fee of this big thing, but I'm
Absolutely.
talking like all of these
Small
Home
little side
Depot
things.
doesn't matter because there's not a Home Depot in
fucking
France.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like so. But it's like, but think of the non-official, like when Super Bowl happens, right? I remember doing
Sure.
this show for Super Bowl. It was something. It was like broadcast cameras, but it was something like this, small, and it was like the Patriots have their own network.
Yep.
And they were doing like a shoot that was like on the ground with players and coaches coming into this little
Yeah.
studio thing. Well, if the demand isn't there, right? Granted, it's streaming. Something like that might get cut. Like we can save
Absolutely.
that $50,000, $100,000 on this activation because the momentum is not there.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
It's like taking a global brand and saying, "Hey, we want to do this Super Bowl ad, and we'll pay $5 million for it." But then we also have like these 20 little side things, these little side shows that may or may not actually garner attention or pay off at all. Should we even invest time into that and take resources away from what is this ad or whatever else?
right, because the big thing, a month out, the big thing is done, right? The big thing
Yeah.
for Coke, they're like it's too far to backtrack, right? But the small things, we can cancel those. But the small things are what the AV companies like FQS and that's what
Yeah.
we get.
It's true.
Because like I bid it on FIFA Fan Fest, right? I bid it on
Sure.
the whole thing. I bid it on Atlanta Beltline Fest, right? I in my heart of hearts to the camera believe that whole bidding process for FIFA Fan Fest was an absolute fucking sham. To say that we put it out to bid.
Local
And-
supporting.
And you all went and got Solomon Group, who respectfully, in a city this black, is a company that, and I don't understand it. They produce Essence Fest.
Sure.
The
Yeah.
blackest shit in the world is produced by
Did
50
we?
white people. Swear to God.
Wait, didn't we?
And I have a problem with that.
Sure.
I do.
Yeah.
Like, but in the same breath, I understand. Because again, going back to my point in my clip, there are no big companies in Atlanta except for Four Wall, who bought Magnum.
Mhm.
There are no TV trucks here. There are no large scale event. I mean, we might be one of the larger ones. There's what's that company? I mean, you got Rival Entertainment, but they're not.
Sure.
They produce concerts at their
Yep.
venue. They're not a public event company. They bid it on it. I know they bid on it, but they're
They do
not.
performances and other stuff. in
Yeah,
Breakfast,
they
and-
that's producing shows at center stage is not building a temporary infrastructure in the city.
Agreed.
So I don't know that it was. I don't think it was an unfair process. I just think that from the jump there was probably a clear person that they had their eyes on, a couple
Oh.
groups,
Yeah.
but it just had to go out to bid. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
And companies like those have worked with people that have been embedded in these larger corporations and their marketing teams or C-suites, so they're all familiar with each other.
And they
I'm sure.
bring comfortability to the sponsors and
Yeah.
all of these things.
Hey, I got these guys. I've worked with them for the past 10 years. It's going to be expensive, you know what I mean? And it's not local necessarily, but we're going to bring them over.
So
like the biggest independent in Atlanta is like Music Matters.
Right.
And they're not they're an AV company for touring, entertainment, and like festivals. They're not
Right.
they don't do television. They sell gear. They don't produce shows. They're not gonna help you put your show together. You order the gear.
They've got the stuff.
They got the stuff. They got the crew. They show up, put it together. They don't give a shit who show up, who perform. They don't care. It's just
Get their check.
They get their check, and that's it.
Yeah.
They have no creative input or anything like that.
So is that what you'd want more of? And I guess the question that I was thinking of before I even asked that is how do we bring more diversification to production, right? To kind of fill the gaps that you were talking about.
I don't know if it's about diversification more so than just it's systemic, man. It's access to capital. That's at the end of the day.
Okay.
It's access to capital. Back in the day, nobody could afford to do this. Like Black
sure.
Magic was the democratization of production, of television, of streaming. Without Black Magic, none of what we see today exists. The amount of content we have today does not exist.
Mhm.
Sure.
They broke down the barrier to everything. And it's actually beautiful because I'm enjoying watching Hollywood fall. I'm enjoying it. You all have gate kept, again, your people into this industry. You have created unions with these absorbent fees and made it very hard for most of us, especially those who look like me, to come in. And now that it's democratized, now that the price is falling down, now that everybody has access, now that there's the internet, now that I can learn how to write a script and I don't have to fly to LA and hope that I'll sit at the right coffee bar and hear, some network exec talking and get my lucky break, which is 1 in a billion.
Yeah.
I can go make my own stuff. And there's Tubi and there's the independent. So that whole prima donna thing, that whole sitting up on a pedestal has fallen. They're no longer the kings. There's no such thing as celebrities for real anymore. There are very few legitimate, like, oh my God, celebrities.
We got like Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, they're amongst
The
us.
OGs that are left.
The OGs who are even, if you look at they look young because they're celebrities and they probably get a lot of surgery and makeup and all this stuff, but they're 50. Justin Timberlake's what, 45, 50 years old?
Yeah.
He's not on fucking Threads.
No, absolutely not.
No.
Maybe
But
maybe his PR team is.
But he was a superstar long before that. But
Right,
these new
But
people.
he also argue that he has like reinvented himself like 2 or 3 times.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Everything from movies to music, and then reinventing his music so that he would still remain relevant, right? There's a lot of people who have, within that 10-year span of being a musician, just died off and they don't come back.
Fair.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, one hit wonders, and it doesn't always translate. Sometimes they kill themselves when they talk because they're not in tune with the people in my age group. I think a lot of us we care now about, we're adults, we have children, we have families, we buy houses, we're married, we're investing. So we now care about what's happening in the world.
Sure.
And so when these celebrities are disconnected from our realities, and they're constantly pushing stuff on us to buy and all of this, and they're not focused on the issues. Lil Wayne is a great example.
Okay.
Superstar. Know most of his lyrics word for word, bar for bar. Play a Wayne song, we can go right now. But Lil Wayne is so disconnected. He should be a legend. He should be revered. But he went off and he became a huge drug addict, right? You could see it all in his face, all in his hair. But beyond that, he doesn't care about politics. He was doing it. I know his downfall started. He did an interview and they were asking him about Black Lives Matter and all this other stuff that was happening at the time when, all that was real relevant. And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. They ain't got shit to do with me, blah, blah. And it's you got to grow with us, right? The music's got to grow with us, the thinking, the politics. So it's bigger than just the music.
In that worldview, is that the musicians should, once they become successful, behave more like role models, or what in your view, how should they be involved?
They should do whatever they want to do, but I'm a person this is how I operate, right? In dating and relationships and business, you are free to do whatever you want to do, and I'm free to do whatever I want to do. So you are free to not care, and I'm free to not purchase. You can do whatever you want to do. I don't have any advice for what they should do.
Yeah,
but you should know your fans. You should know what they're dealing with, and it's like a
Got it.
politician being
So
out of
because they
touch.
disconnected, then they become unpopular, and because they're unpopular, then they don't.
Right, because now we need people who have. If you're gonna use your voice, if you're gonna take our money, then it's either you have to choose one or two things. You have to either just shut up and just say nothing
Mhm.
and just live in the background and like don't even chime in. Something like you either have to be like in or out. You can't be lukewarm. And then your values need to align, right? Like look what happened Trump's first term.
Okay.
Look what happened to those people. Chrisette Michelle was the one lone black artist they could find, and she went and performed at that Trump inauguration ceremony, never to be heard from again. Never couldn't sell a ticket.
Sure.
Couldn't do it. She can't sell it. I mean, not that she was ever selling out big venues, but she couldn't
No, she
probably
can't at all.
She can't get a ticket sold in center stage and probably sell 20 tickets there. Once you align with that stuff, right, wrong, I'm not here to argue politics, but once you align with that, you are free to be MAGA. You are free to do that, but you need to know your fan base. We're no longer ignorant to this stuff. We care. We're in tune. We're watching. We're paying attention. You can't.
I think that speaks to there was like a theory or a post that I saw online that discusses the why, like almost the fragility of followers or the influencer and their platform and what they create. And by that I mean that you can really see it in musicians and artistry. When you have a musician who makes a certain style of art, people follow them specifically for what they're looking for in that moment. But people's feelings and people change over time, but that does not mean your fans will follow you through those changes over time. A good example of that is like Getter, that I'll use in like the DJ scene. I think you can kind of pull any example, but like Getter, he was known for dubstep. He was known pretty heavy for hanging out with like Dylan Francis and a bunch of those guys creating deep bass music. Probably like 5 years into his career, he was like, that doesn't give me passion anymore. I'm really a house guy. Like I want to go and try and do house. I want to try and evolve my music. My music changes over time. And when he did that, he got a huge pushback from the EDM community being like, you've changed. What are you doing? Like you suck. Like this is dumb. And it got so bad. He got beat up so bad by his fan base. He just like quit music altogether. He's like, screw you guys. Like I'm out. And I think that could even go to like bands where the bands change out their singer and now it has a completely different flavor than what it is. Like I think of like Killswitch Engage is a good like metal band where they change their singer and then everyone's like, it doesn't sound the same. So like it's not giving me the same feelings and I'm like out. So to your point of like Lil Wayne and others, like when they get too far out of like their lane of the people that they come up with, then it may cause a drop off and ultimately where their fandom follows. But I can't hate them for that. I mean, people change and people grow.
It should, yeah.
Right.
And everybody's not gonna follow. They're not gonna follow you. I think that the fans don't owe you anything.
Sure.
You don't owe them anything. They don't owe you anything, right? I make music. If you like it, listen to it. We've seen artists like Drake. He did a house album. We saw Beyonce. She did a country album. I didn't listen to it. I love Beyonce. I don't like country music. I don't care who's singing it. I'm not listening to it. I went to Renaissance tour. I didn't go to Cowboy Carter.
Yeah. So, and let's point at that though. So
wait, can I pause just real quick? I think we're started now, so I wanted to go ahead and just introduce a little bit, like just straight up.
We never.
Who are we talking about? Like,
conversation's been good.
I want to know. I know who you are.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we know who everybody is.
We're live. We're going with an episode right now.
Are we live somewhere?
Yes, we are.
We're live on YouTube, Kick, Twitch.
Oh shit!
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we do. We go live with this live stream every week.
Okay.
We're here. We're live. We're doing the live stream with
If anybody's
FQS
in the chat out there, they're like, "Who is talking?"
Yeah. My name's Cody.
I'm Garrett.
I'm Trey.
We got Trey. Trey. Before we get any deeper in, because we were getting into conversation,
We're going to
tell
the
us
deep end
about
right there.
Who you are, what you do. Like roll out the red carpet for yourself.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, in like 48 seconds or less. My name's Trey James. I'm the CEO of Carter Paul Brand. We are a live production event services conglomerate. So we own a number of companies that support live events. So Production Rockstars produces live events, large scale events, corporate entertainment, sports. Crew Call, we provide labor services, riggers, stagehands. We have a school, Production Rockstar Academy. We own a sign print, large format sign print shop called Hotlanta. Does custom merch, apparel, all that stuff, and a few other companies. But that's who I am. I'm a multicam director, executive producer. I've been working in television and live events for almost 24 years. And now I am transitioning into the executive and business side. I don't really enjoy going on shows too much anymore. So that's who I am.
Do you enjoy going on the shows too much anymore?
Not so much.
Really?
That was a great 48 seconds.
That was good 48
That was
seconds.
pretty timed out pretty well.
That was pretty timed out well. Today we were talking about, which is kind of good that we were talking about music, because the topic that I was wanting to hop into was mainly talking around music live streaming and content, where it's going, why it's struggling, where it's heading. I'd love to get you guys' perception on that. And so kind of go into my topic really quick, was that I saw in the news last week, and we talked a little bit about this off camera, but I'll bring it up now, is that Circle, which was a huge production company that was focused on building DJ remote live streams. I don't know if you've I don't know when you're working, if you see like the people who do the full camera setups with the DJs in the nightclubs. All of that was inspired by Circle. When they started doing it, I'm gonna have like a FQS moment where I was doing it before Circle was, but Circle made it popular. They were going to like different foreign countries. Like they did one at they did a live stream at oh my god, the Eiffel Tower. They did one at the Giza pyramids. They did one at the Turkish hot air balloons. They did a DJ hot air balloon live.
Dude, that's cool.
That was crazy.
What in the world?
They did one at Stonehenge. So they go to these super remote, like awesome locations, build a production there, and then they would live stream it, and they would do that for their audience. And that's how they built up to like 1 million, 2 million followers per platform on each of their platforms. And they did that well.
You saying they live stream?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna take you back to a conversation you and I had on LinkedIn a long time ago, at the start of COVID. Remember when like vMix and all this virtual production was being proliferated?
Yeah.
And I think I made a post and I was like, if this is the future of production, I'm not interested.
Okay.
I like live shows. I like the chaos. I like being on set. I'm not about to watch production for the rest of
Didn't
my
we
life.
just say that you were like I don't want to be in live shows, be like the live shows?
I don't like being on. I don't. Well, that was 5 years
That
ago.
was also 5 years
Yeah,
ago.
it was
like
5
you're
years
saying.
ago. People
Yeah.
change, right? We just said
Just
people
talked about
change.
that.
Yeah.
It's true.
I had a conversation with myself a year ago, but that's how I feel. But I had a conversation with myself about a year and a half ago, and I was starting to I mean, like listen, I haven't done everything, but
Yeah.
I've done a lot, right? And I was like, do I love production or do I love business more? Because I love business. Like I love deal making. I love creative financing. I love finding deals to acquire, and I love that process. I'm a very administrative person.
Sure.
Love budgets. Favorite thing in the world. Love budgets. But I was like, I came to the conclusion that I like the business of production.
Okay.
Right. And so I don't have to be on set. I don't need to be on set 30 days a month. Right. Even when I was like trying to figure out the business flow of production rock stars, I tell people all the time, I don't do a lot of shows. I do shows that are extremely profitable. That's how I buy companies.
Sure.
So I'm not looking, you could get imposter syndrome, and I have friends and people who are like, their companies are banging out shows like crazy. And then I'll have a conversation with them. I'll get their revenue, and I'm doing maybe a fifth of the shows they're doing and making probably twice as much as they are.
Sure.
I don't need to chase little work. It's not
Profit
fulfilling
drives
to me.
business, not revenue.
Right. And so that doesn't drive me. Now, I will say from a exit standpoint and a long-term standpoint, where they do have, leverage is no one customer is as much of a concentration of their business portfolio.
Sure.
Right. So if they lose a customer or something like that, it's easier to recover. You don't take as big of a hit. I lose a customer, I could lose $1 million a year. You know what I mean? Just off of a single customer.
Yeah.
So they lose a customer, but you got to work. Technical Elements was for sale. I can say this now because it was sold.
Okay.
They had a CIM, which is essentially like a informational document when someone's selling the company, a marketing document. And I remember the revenue, I think, was $2 million a year at Technical Elements. They were selling the company for $10 million.
Okay.
But it said they did 15,000 shows a year.
15,000?
Maybe they were counting breakouts.
1,000 shows a year?
Maybe they were counting breakouts and all this stuff.
Or like
man.
multiple shows per show.
So that's, I
Like,
mean,
is it like
365
one
days
camera
a year.
equals one show, but you're doing a 20 camera show? It's like,
365
oh, you
days
got
a
20
year. 3,
shows.
6, 9, 12, 15. That means you're doing 5 shows a day?
It may, they could be. You could have 5 hotel.
5 shows.
Again, you could be talking breakout.
Yeah.
50 shows a day?
Right? Because that's like.
Well,
add the
300
It was
zero.
a- it was an
that's
astronomical
crazy.
number.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't
Shows
make
a day.
sense. And I'm like, this is an astronomical number. But let's
Maybe
say
it's the amount of people that joined a Zoom call.
Or they're hosting other people's streams. I don't know, man. That's a lot.
whatever it was.
Right.
And again, people embellish on their thing. It
Yeah.
you know, it could have been a heavy rounding. But let's just say it was
Heavy rounding.
70. Let's say if it was
Couple
half of
extra
that,
zeros.
it was half of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
even
Divide
still.
that into 2 million, and that's not a lot of money per show.
Sure.
Whatever the math was, it equaled out to about $15,000 a job based on what their CIM said. I didn't
Yeah.
make this up. This is what they published is for the sellers or for potential buyers.
Show me the Carfax.
Right. And again, if they're doing screen and projector, this and that, think of how many
Yeah.
trips that is. Think of how much warehouse work that is to make
Logistics
$2
overhead.
million.
Yeah.
Like that's not a lot of money.
If that's real and they're not lying about their books, which, that's crazy, first of all, then that's just so much work for such little income.
Thank you. And that's what I be saying. That's too much work
It's
for that little money.
insane.
Well, that's where it goes back to, like, you look at like what Alex Hormozy talks about, where it's like you can either sell a product to broke people, you can sell a product to rich people, and the amount of effort it takes to sell to a broke person is almost equal to the amount that it takes to sell to a rich person. So you will make more profit by doing lower volume, high revenue jobs than you would doing high volume, low revenue jobs.
Yeah.
It takes almost more overhead to handle that amount of volume versus if you focused on like big jobs that do more revenue, but you have less of them.
The work to order catering for 50 people is the same work to order catering for 500 people. I'm just adding a zero. It's nothing. The same food. I'm not doing the work. It's more work for the caterer, but it's not more work for me.
Yep.
True.
I'm just ordering food.
Yep.
Right? Like bring more food. So I mean, I think how you approach that though matters. Again, what your long-term strategy is, because again, if you want to exit well. If you're moving like I'm moving with bigger shows
Yep.
and higher profits, the owner is usually a lot more attached to the project.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
Yeah.
what Technical Elements is doing, those people don't give a shit who shows up,
Well,
nor do they
it's
know
key
man
who
risk,
shows up.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a key man, right? It's a
Yeah.
key man risk. So from an investor, from a private equity, from something like that, to be honest, I wouldn't be as attractive to them because a lot of that relies on me, right? And I'm able to charge
Because you're the
that
face
much.
of it.
Well, not necessarily the face. Like I have started to, like I have a VP of production, accounting, and finance now. Historically, I'm the one going back to negotiate payment clients with the schedule and stuff like that.
Yep.
But I have empowered them, and I make a client introduction. I'm like, this is who you're going to talk to. It's also a lot easier to. It's like an artist and their manager, right?
Right.
You don't want to be the person arguing with the client about money and then have to show up after y'all had a tense conversation and work
So
with them.
true.
You just let somebody else do it and then you play stupid and have plausible deniability.
Oh, you guys talked about
Whatever-
that?
Exactly. Whatever they told you, I'm the one that told them to go say it.
Yeah.
Now, maybe not how they said it, but I told them to go say it. I laid down the parameters. I get to play ignorant when I show up, and our relationship isn't affected because we're negotiating money. And that,
Sure.
Right.
that gets tense, right? And so that's why the manager sometimes, it's not that I necessarily need the manager. I could do it myself, but also it's freeing up my time. And they're seeing things that I might not see.
Yeah.
Or, ways that I might negotiate. And a lot of times, like I know this one client, I'm definitely not going to say the name of my best client, but they'll say something like, well, you're a business, you can float the money. But they don't necessarily go say that to her because now they start to see as more people interact, they start to see, oh, it's not just Trey. He has a
Yeah.
team. There are people that are working, and like the way I reconcile my budgets and the way she reconciles her budgets, they be like, okay, certain costs start to make sense. Like on the front end, they'll be like, oh, you pay your people too much. But then when they see the product that they put out and how detailed it is,
Yep.
they're like, okay, we get it. Like,
Yeah.
so it's just a massaging of, it's just
It's like
business.
you're also your company is an industry. Just like if you're working for a bakery, they have to hire a lot of people too. They've got managers, they've got people on the line, they've got bakers. It's like there's a whole industry that goes into producing the product that people are going to consume, and it's really easy to detach yourself if you're a CEO of a large company and be like, we're just making this tiny little commercial. This should not take $1 million. What is happening? Like
Sure.
I can just tell my cousin who has a camera to go shoot it for me, and my sister who has some editing skills to go and try to edit it, and you're not going to get the same product. You're not going to get everything that's built into it. The deliverables, it's not going to be there the same way that you expect it to, and it's just something I feel like larger, maybe C-suite people just don't necessarily understand.
I see it both ways because again, I come from production. I'm an engineer by trade. I've been in the trenches, right? And I think that's what makes life good or easy for me is that I'm not speaking. I know the business. Like, I'm not just a bean counter. I talk
Right.
all the
Did it.
tech, right? I did it.
Right.
I've done it. I do it. And I've been on shoots as a line producer, and I see the budget. I did a shoot for a big pizza brand one time. And when I found out how much money they spent on this commercial, I'm like, where the fuck did you spend it? Because you didn't spend it on this.
It's not on me.
You ain't spend it on shit here.
Yeah.
You ain't spend it on nothing that I see on camera.
Yeah.
Like, if you saw the final product, I guarantee you we could probably get some iPhone and shoot that shit for about $1,500. I swear to God.
That's crazy.
That was it was a
$1 million
$600-700.
production.
I mean, didn't
It's
you
about
just see the-
$600-7,000 commercial. So again, I'm not saying like I agree with the whole like just shoot it on your cell phone thing for a
Didn't they
commercial.
just
Oh,
shoot
yeah, no.
MLS, one of the MLS games all on iPhone?
Yeah, but
What I'm
that's
I know it's hokey. I know it's hokey.
the amount of accoutrements you got to put on a camera, an iPhone,
Let me clarify
to
too.
make it work. You could just stick a box lens on a regular camera on a chassis out of a truck.
Yeah.
And do it in a fraction of the time.
Let me clarify.
Imagine trying to keep up with the parts and pieces for that.
real quick. What I'm saying is
Well, it
not,
is Black Magic just with the Firewire now or whatever.
what I'm saying is not that they should do that. I'm not saying at all they should hire their cousin or their sister to edit and shoot. Like this is not what I'm saying. You see something that says shot on iPhone, you know how many millions of dollars goes into each of those shots?
Yes.
Like it has nothing to do with the camera. It has all to do with the expertise. Just like my baker analogy, those baked goods don't taste good because you know how to throw something in the oven. It tastes good because there's years of experience behind the bakers.
Sure.
Like, and making sure that the product is great, the presentation is great. You're there with all the customer service that you need. You can help and accommodate whatever the client needs. It's like it's an industry. You just got to you have to recognize that there is a cost to proper entry.
But I disagree though, because I think that again, going back to me enjoying the fall of Hollywood, it shit is inflated.
That's fair.
Like
Okay.
I did a show I did this comedy special for Hulu. All right. I have never heard of this comedian before
Mhm.
or after this. I produce a lot of comedy. Why is the director on a micro budget film for a comedian we've never heard of? I never saw this show promoted. I'm sure probably no. It was beautiful. This show looked amazing. Why is the director getting almost 40% of the budget on a micro budget film, but you're trying to pay you're trying to get me to convince camera operators to take $500 on a union shoot because you're lying about it being ultra low budget. It doesn't, it is, there are so many
Abuse.
abusive costs. I did
Yeah.
a What Now for Kevin Hart in Philly at Eagle Stadium, the movie. I did the pre-show. I was a tech producer. The union, I had booked the crew. I didn't know a lot about unions at this time. I was a pretty new tech manager. This is like in 2015, 2016, something like
Okay.
that. And I booked the crew, and I get a call from the union people up there. that made me fire my crew, which I mean they had the
Oh, wow.
legal right to because of collective bargaining, right?
Sure.
Agreements. You know, you had to abide by those.
Oh, they flipped it?
No, it was just the venue is a union. I didn't know that. We were just booking
Oh,
crew.
okay.
like-
Union.
and then when they
Got you.
found out, like
Okay.
once we started, they was like, "Who's you?" They started asking all these questions, and they came to me like a mob boss, like you got to go through all that stuff. But here's the thing: they gave me back about half of the same crew I already hired at 40% more the cost.
Mhm.
So yeah, fuck
it-
the union. Like it's a bunch of BS cost
We
that make it $1 million. There are a bunch
Yeah.
of people standing around who come on set to just give their little tiny opinions about the hue of blue being fucking 0.01 instead of 0.02. Like no one gives a shit. And that's what this new creator economy has done is say that no one cares about. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's levels to it, there's
Yeah.
production value.
Sure.
I get it, but on an average, like most people don't care. And so yeah, you are paying all this money because you're paying all these people for stuff. And I tell my team all the time, I hate the government because I hate bureaucracy.
Okay.
Companies don't grow with bureaucracy. I don't
True.
need a bunch of people to make a decision. If you bring me a video, if you bring me a graphic for approval, I will look at it. If I like it, it's good to go. That's all that matters if I like it. I don't need 50,000 people
No.
making a decision about something that can be simple because then they will sit there and pick it apart and
Sure.
no one gives a shit.
Why do I need to go through 30 minutes of approval through 5 different people
You
when I
will.
can do 2 seconds of
Just show
that's
it to
great.
me and I'll tell you it's good or not. And
Yeah.
I'll make a few notes. Like I'm all about progress over perfection. It doesn't need to be perfect to you. It needs to be perfect to me.
Mm.
And my perfect is, I mean, if I'm on a big show and it's a client, I'm
Yeah.
nitpicking every,
Yeah.
on my shows, but
Right.
I'm just more so talking like our internal content and stuff like
Right.
that. I don't need all these people making.
No.
I mean, I think that speaks
Absolutely
to
not
ultimately
necessary.
that it's about the output of the product, not the delivery vehicle in which it's delivered.
Absolutely.
Right. So when I think about that and you going back to the democratization of content, and I'd even go back to kind of where I was talking about with like the Circle stuff, it's like, do you really need to go and have a full broadcast team in this like remote location doing that live? And I think that's where even for someone like them, they could get away with a couple of Blackmagic micro cinema cameras pointed there and then have run record and then have some editor chop it together, put it on YouTube where it lives longer, and then you end up having a longer tail on your content than if you were to just have it as like a live stream. So, but to your point, like when you look at like these Kai Cenats and these others, it's why a lot of them have the call for authenticity has been great,
Yeah.
but then also that barrier to entry to be able to go live or to go capture that content has gotten lower, which I think has put pressure on like the old linear way of doing things, like homie director who's taken 40% because they don't know where to really go because all they've ever done is go to, you know, XYZ, Showtime, Paramount, whatever, and say, hey, I need to go shoot this big thing. And I get my 5 shows a year. If I can wiggle my way out, a large percentage of that, then I don't have to do anything else. And I can call myself a director. And that's what I do, regardless of like the size of the show. It's a large comedian or a small influencer. I don't know.
I think what's the name of the platform?
Which one?
The live streaming thing we're talking about?
Twitch Kick?
No, the
Sis-
DJ platform.
Circle.
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 Yeah.
So I've done these things where people have tried to like monetize live streams and stuff like that.
Sure.
Number one, I'm never in the conversation, at least from a client standpoint, of monetizing live streams because I'm not a promoter. I'm a production company. I don't care. Like I said, I'm sure like Trump's 250th anniversary fair. Them people that built that stage don't give a shit if that lot is full or empty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they just
true.
get the
Get the
check,
check
and send the
clear,
invoice.
right?
Holy shit.
Let's go, right?
Well, that's why I got out of promoting.
Right.
That's why I stopped doing that.
Yeah.
Get the check clear, right? So your content monetization strategy is irrelevant to me. Like that has
Sure.
nothing to do with me. But what I have seen though is if you're going to charge for a live stream, you do need to have high production value, right? If you're going to charge at like I'm not
Okay.
paying for low production value. If I'm going to
Sure.
pay the production value has to be high. So I'm gonna imagine that these DJ events are at night, probably most of them, some of them. Hot balloon, everything was probably during the day, but
Definitely during the day.
right, but it's for safety. But I'm sure most of these things, EDM, those are nighttime things, right? Those are things you enjoy once you drink and probably take a few drugs. So, like, that's a nighttime activity. And if you're gonna go cheap with cameras, right? Like the first thing that can is my tech and my business brain working together. First thing I'm thinking about is, well, that camera is gonna introduce a lot of noise in that darkness,
Sure.
right? So production value is already low. Like, how are you getting optimal audio into this stream?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about those things, but to the why it failed,
Mhm.
why these things aren't successful, these virtual, is going back to that LinkedIn post. If this is the new norm, I'm not interested because, again, there are only so few celebrities. These people aren't inaccessible anymore.
Okay.
So the stream doesn't hold as much value if I can't. Like Michael B. Jordan, there's a quote. I don't know if he really said it or not because people make up memes and write anything. But
Okay.
it was basically like, I think Denzel or whoever his mentor was like, listen, stay off social media. Your stock goes down if you're on social media because they have access to you. Why would I come pay $25, $20 see you at a movie when you're in my face all the time and I can communicate with you on social media? So if you want to be an A-list actor, part of it, and I know it's hard as a human, like everybody's on social media. Like I couldn't imagine being a judge and not being able to use, like, judges can't use social media, right? You can't publicize your opinions. So it must be hard, but it's necessary in order to maintain this throne, so to speak. But I think that the thing I love about being in live events, right, and not TV and film, is that TV and film has been democratized. And to some extent, live events have been democratized.
Kind of.
Like,
Still big risk.
But like, I'll give you an example, right? The equivalent to Black Magic and live audio would be like Behringer and RCF speakers, right?
Okay.
A line array used to cost $250,000. You can get that same line array now for $125,000. It's still a lot of money, but that Meyer rig might have cost you $600,000-$700,000 for the same thing that this $150,000 rig does. Now, do they sound the same? If you put them if you go in the same environment and you test them, they don't. If you put it in an arena, and again, I'm full of
Depends on
drinks,
production
and
value,
I don't give a shit. It's just noise and music coming out of speakers. I don't care. The sound guy might care, but just like video, the people don't care about these little tiny little. It's just sound. Like, can I hear? That's all they care? Can I hear?
Well, yeah, but I would almost argue though, if you're looking at someone like Taylor Swift, who's making money out of hand over fist, she wants to put out a extreme level of production value because people are paying buku money tickets.
Well,
to
I mean,
see
but
Taylor Swift.
that's Taylor Swift.
Sure, but I'm using an extreme example to like drive a point, though, that I think there's still an avenue for, expensive sound. Even if you look at like deep dubstep culture where there's not like good ticket like culture, meaning that like tickets are like $5 or $10. Like there's still people who obsess over that sound, and there's artists who still do. Like, I think of like Jamaican sound system culture, where it was a lot of people would invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in these heavy bass systems because they knew the sound that they were trying to hit and that other systems couldn't ultimately like support it. That's why Danley Sound Labs out of Gainesville does so well. It's why, oh my God, Badman Sound, he went and made Hennessy sound design because subwoofers couldn't reach the level that the deep step guys really wanted in order for them to hit like the frequencies that they needed to hit. So I don't know. I feel what you're throwing down, pick up what you're throwing down, but like to push back on that, I think there's still avenues there's still artistry where people would say that it's not just, sound blasting out of speakers, that there's still an artistry to it.
Well, again, I think
it just
the
depends
artist,
on the event.
Yeah.
the artist cares.
Sure.
The audience doesn't care.
Well, that's what artists have writers.
Right. I mean, again, but that's, and there is, Meyer isn't going anywhere. I love Meyer speakers are the best sounding speakers, line arrays in commercial, touring speakers that exist.
Sure.
In my opinion, I've had shootouts with them. You know what I'm saying? Sound outs, whatever you call them.
Yeah.
But
I get it.
Yeah. But just in general, right? It's about a democratization. But my original point about the I can't think of the name.
Circle.
is that people want real life experiences.
Okay.
Like, it's only so much sitting on a computer that I'm gonna do watching the artist. And I think that was, I mean, I would make it the equivalent of Peloton.
Okay.
I want to go to the gym. I use
Actually, I want you to dive
Peloton.
into that.
I went to I didn't do shit, but people went to Peloton.
People rode bikes. I didn't ride it.
I didn't look at
Someone
any.
did. Someone bought a bike.
I hear that people are going to the gym all the time. I'm not doing it.
Right. You feel me? But people got Peloton and they use Peloton because they had to use Peloton. They didn't want to use Peloton. Yeah, it looks cool. But at the end of the day, people crave in real life experiences. We are humans, and human needs interaction, which is why Mark Zuckerberg and that stupid ass $73 billion Meta bullshit failed. It's stupid. Why the fuck do I want to hide behind fake characters to talk to real people when I can just talk to real people? I can just go outside and talk to them. I don't need to sit behind a computer.
Well, that goes back to the explosive life events that are happening right now, right?
It's why.
But I think it's interesting that you bring that point up because that's what Circle's business model was, is they created all of this unique FOMO over doing all of these remote live stream events that people would go and watch. And then they switched the model where they were like, okay, it's not just about these live streams that you could watch. We're going to create music festivals and we're going to create events and experiences that people can then go to.
They had to.
Yes.
Because if they didn't do that, they would have died 3 years ago.
Yep. And then now they don't have enough money to actually front these events because of the rising headlining costs and then the production that it takes to do these exclusive, I would say almost like DJ retreats.
And market saturation. How many?
Yep.
There's only so many customers, right? There are only so many customers, right? Even like any AV business right now. This is, again, why I stick to my niche. I had a conference that I did for 3 years, and I lost it the 4th year. And the guy, we're friends, that owns the conference, and we're still friends, even though he didn't give me the job. And he told me why. He said, these people came up to our conference for 2 years, and they watched everything y'all did. They took pictures and all of that, and then they came back, and they asked us, how much did we pay for it? And they said, hey, we'll do it for half of that, and we won't charge you overtime.
Wow.
But there's a lot of that. There's a lot of racing to the bottom.
Yep.
But you know why? It goes back to the thing that I actually like. It's the democratization of production. Magic. All these people now can go out here. You might not could get remember, the line array alone, just the boxes.
Yep.
For a Big Meyer rig or L Acoustics rig is $700,000 to $1 million for like a tour and arena rig, one rig, subs, all that.
Sure.
That's not the console. That's not all of that. But now I can do, again, all of that for 20% of the cost. And so now you have a bunch of people doing it, but they're financing this stuff. And so they got to pay that debt. So they don't give a fuck what they send it out the door for. They just need to get it out the door because they need money to pay on that loan.
Yep.
And so now everybody is competing. So same thing going back to cliche or what is
Circle.
Circle.
It's the Barclay.
We're going to call it something different every time. The Barclay.
That's going to be the new running show.
Yeah. I love it.
But like Cirque's issue is that how many of these, they're not the only person doing these unique experiences.
Not anymore. Yeah.
There's so many of them. And at some point it's, it's like restaurants. There are too many. Some are going to have to close, right? The restaurants are going to keep going out of business because everybody's low-hanging fruit for starting. There's more. The United States could use a 30% reduction in restaurants for everybody to eat. And I used to own restaurants. I was American Deli franchisee 30%? For years. Huh?
30%?
Need to close.
Wow.
There's too many restaurants.
It's crazy. I had no idea.
It's you're taking a pie and you're splitting into 1,000 pieces.
Wow.
And then everybody's gonna fail. And
margins are slim.
The margins are already slim, right? Only so many people are gonna eat out. Eating habits are changing. Groceries are high.
Yeah.
A fucking case of tomatoes costs $90, which is more than a case of avocados. When 10 years ago, a case of avocados was the most expensive thing, right? Like upgrading the guacamole always had a plus charge. Now the fucking tomatoes are more than avocados. So
and you have a deal with DoorDash,
right? And the deal with DoorDash, and then if you order on DoorDash, it's $5 more to order the same thing online, even if you're doing a pickup, as it costs to go in the store. So there are all these like macro and microeconomic factors that go into it, right? But at the end of the day, there can only be so many of something. Somebody is going to fail. Somebody has to fall off. Like
Right.
it is just the natural cycle of life.
When the barrier of entry becomes so open
It's-
that everybody joins,
Right.
there's too much saturation.
And the best will fail. And what they're going to, and then what they do is a company like I'm not going to name them out, but these companies that go around doing this stuff and, racing to the bottom, they make it harder for, rates to stay up. And
Sure.
because one thing about production is that this is the only industry, the only one where inflation has not followed with everything else.
Okay.
Because we don't use consumables.
It's true.
So people see the cost of what you paid for 5 years ago. They're like, well, you didn't just buy a new camera, or, again, you look at like
Black Magic that's on like
right,
18 price
or
tags
also
and,
with
like,
the
8 months.
democratization, right? They're like, well, I was paying this when everything was Sony and the camera chain was $50,000 now. Well, now the camera chain is 16. A Black Magic chain with a 20 by Fuji 9 lens in is about $16,000-$17,000. Studio viewfinder, all that minus the tripod, about $16,000-$17,000.
Sure.
Well, the camera chain before was $50,000-$60,000. Hell, the lens might have been
So why are you charging me the same amount?
So why are you charging me the same amount, or feel like you can go up?
Hmm.
It's the labor that's increasing. So they feel like one thing is offset by the other, and you have so many people willing to do it that will travel anywhere just to say they did this show, just to have the photo at this show to get the next
True.
line or whatever, to stroke their ego. They're willing to do whatever. They'll travel for it, and so certain industries don't have to be that competitive, right? You don't.
Yeah.
It's the reason why as soon as Spirit closed, flight prices went up 30%. There's less competition.
So I got one question, and I do.
But everybody can't buy airplanes, though.
That's
Everyone
right.
can't buy airplanes.
Yeah, the variant entry is a little harder on that
Yeah.
one.
A lot harder. It's probably the hardest.
I got like one last question on that, and I
Yeah.
do want to pivot because I want to give Garrett time here. Is
Sure.
that when you're talking about the race to the bottom, right? And that there's other production companies that obviously can do it for cheaper, democratization of content, right? I think you could still say the same thing about cars. People can go buy a Honda. They can also still buy a Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz isn't out of business. Neither is BMW or crazy sports cars, right? There's still a market for people who want high-value products, even though the vehicle to get from point A to point B is essentially the same. You could argue it's comfort or faster. Or
Do you
delivery.
think that exists in production?
I think it exists in some level of production. There's I would say there's an ask for you. I would say that it's hard for someone like us to go at the Super Bowl, right? And do that without having the 18 trailers to do it with. I think that there's still a level of production where there's this inflection point between the quality that's expected and the quality of the result, and then the budget that ultimately has to lead behind it. Even though there is the democratization of content, that people can produce high quality content for less, I still believe that somewhere in there the scale shifts, and I haven't quite figured that out yet. But there's still this quality conversation that still has to be said of you need to have seasoned and trained creative. We've done shows where we've done them for budgets for less, and then had a mediocre creative, and then had trained operators that knew what they were doing, and then watched a show struggle and then not see the success it needed because we didn't have the budget to bring in the right creative, right? I've seen shows where we need interactive content or interactive engaging pieces that would ultimately drive more success for the client, but because of budget, we don't do that thing, and then therefore it sees less success for them. I think it's harder to argue for something like a sports show where it's being delivered to everybody, but I still think there's a level of standard somewhere in there that there's that point where you're okay, we got to go and shoot this super massive event. Can we go in there with a couple of iPhones and these XF705s? Probably not. We have to have a level of equipment that then can support these larger initiatives where then these executives are looking at it and being this is too big to fail. We and that with
The inflection point is sponsors.
Okay.
That's one of the big inflection points. The inflection point is sponsors, right? You can do a show with VMix. I'm sure there are a lot of things you could probably do with VMix.
We're going live with VMix right now. Right?
Ain't doing
You're not doing a touch VMix?
Yeah.
Huh?
You're not touching VMix?
I have vMix. I think I don't use it as my primary production source. I might use the graphics feature or the streaming feature or like the call feature, but it's never going to be my switcher.
Right.
A piece of software is never going to be my switcher. But I also am someone who I like to age myself that I've been in television when analog trucks were a thing. Like
Right.
HD TV wasn't a thing when I started television.
Old switchboards with the cables.
Like
that
Grass
you-
Valley 3000 type days, like CRT TVs. There was no
Right.
LCDs. Every image had its own monitor. Like, and before they were flat screens, because before even the when LCDs first came out, before you had big TVs, you still had individual monitors with each one had its own tally bar under it. Right, every single monitor had a tally bar. So I've seen it from way back then, but I think that sponsorship is that switch for one because now it's a no fail situation.
Sure.
I like to say 3-play. It's a cool system, but it's gonna fail. One day on some show, the memory gonna fill up and it's gonna shut down.
Yeah.
I've had it happen. Right? I don't have EVS ain't gonna do that. It costs $80,000 for basic EVS 4 in 2 out, but it ain't gonna fail. You know what I mean? It's rock solid.
Yeah.
Inputs and outputs change that thing, right? At some point,
I guess, yeah.
you have so many inputs and outputs that you need a router that only is in a truck. You have a distance from stage where I need long lenses, and I can tell you now what it would cost you to rent individual long lenses for. You could just, depending on how many you need, it becomes cheaper to just go get the truck, even if the truck is overkill,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
There's
Specially
also
built. It's already ready to go.
and
It's
there's
got everything.
also something that I believe, like, man, you can get clients to pay a lot of money for nothing. But sometimes you need to bring more stuff
As
a lot of money for
background.
that
peace
you
of mind.
don't need. No, it's not just peace of mind.
No?
It's optics.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
There are things that, okay, for I'll give you an example.
Sure.
I own a Pixel Hue Q8 and I own the P5 Pro controller, the big board.
Sure.
The controller costs $30,000. I can go to Best Buy and I can go do the same shit for $200.
Sure.
Now, I'm gonna tell you how I think. If I was paying you some exorbitant amount of money for whatever, and I showed up and you had a fucking device from Best Buy, and then you charge me all this money, I got questions.
You got a MacBook?
I don't need the Q5 Pro,
Sure.
but it sets a standard. It provides a look that we are the big boys. So yeah, you might do the same show I'm doing with vMix, but if it's like putting it's like pulling up I say this all the time, a Chrysler 300 look like a Bentley till a Bentley pull up,
Sure.
and I can charge you Bentley prices, have it looking like a Bentley, but only be operating.
Yeah.
I can only be using, vMix works off of GPU power, right? I can only be using 10% of my GPU power for this Stallion that I brought, and you're going to use 100% of your GPU for the Stallion you bought, and now you introduce risk of failures and all this other stuff, but I just spent the more money, and I'm able to charge more money. You're not going to be able to charge what I charge, and it's optics.
And it's all optics to
It's
please the
optics.
client, not
That's
even
it.
the consumer
Sober,
necessarily.
it's the client.
Yeah, which is the crazy part.
Yeah.
It's like bringing enough stuff to make sure that they think that what your value is worth,
Even if
Like,
you don't need it.
even if you don't need it. You know,
Have a
I'm
rack
shooting-
turned on. Just let the lights be
I'm
on.
shooting it on my iPhone, but I'm still the expert and I know exactly what I'm doing. But I need to justify the expenditure that they're putting on the books, right?
Or maybe bring an FX3.
Maybe bring an exactly,
Maybe,
yeah.
Right behind the iPhone, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's
Just for
just-
show, you don't use it.
Look, man, sometimes it's just optics.
It actually, it
It's
totally
not.
is. Yeah.
Speaking of optics, I want to swap on to your topic, Garrett. I know you had a topic that you wanted to talk about.
I don't have too much that I wanted to get mostly y'all's opinions on this phenomenon, which I've been noticing, which is where we're seeing most recently political figures, in this case, Zoran Mamdani. I think
Zoran.
Zoran
Zoran
Mamdani.
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 I'll get
I'll
it
say it
right.
together now.
Where these political figures are using their gravitas and their charisma, but capturing the audience virtually instead of in person, but maybe also sometimes in person. So I wanted y'all's opinion on if you think that this is something that's replicatable, where these political figures are able to capture this audience to the point where they were starting out. I'll give you him as an example. He started in 2024 with a 1% of the possible vote within New York for the mayoral race. And now, just within 8 months, became the mayor
Okay.
in New York. So I'm curious if you guys think that this is something that can be captured for other like political figures coming forward. I know AOC's done some live streaming, that kind of stuff, but traditionally, from everything I've ever seen, it's always just been ads and like word of mouth, like knocking on the door, that kind of stuff. Whereas you have this very charismatic figure having a full production team pushing out this content that feels authentic, even if it's not,
As it is.
because it
Yeah.
might be. But I wanted to see what you guys thought about that. Do you guys think that that's something that is authentic? Is it something that's replicatable? Or is it just like a diamond in the rough that just happened to find his little spark that caught on fire?
I think that, and I mean, Trey, hop in here anytime. I think that, to your point, when you talked off camera and then coming on, is that politically has sucked to, it is sucked to be in politics. Like, politics has not done well in terms of making content for younger audiences and voting audiences for a really long time. And so ultimately, now we're starting to see younger politicians who are closer to our ages
Yeah.
being in it, and they're taking a less linear approach, and it's resonating, and everyone's like, why could that be? But
Yeah.
that's just how we consume content now. And so the messages that they're displaying are coming across uh, better for the voting audiences that are now growing up and seeing this, and they want to see the change, and it's being consumed in the way that they already consume content, which is
Yeah.
why they're gathering these followings. But for the longest time, I feel like both parties, like both of them, they're so disconnected from how it, but it also speaks to how content is being made and how the content's being shot and how ads are being delivered.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that this also goes back to what you were saying earlier, where you've got these performers that aren't following their base in a way. And you can see that this is the exact opposite, where you've got this person that is directly speaking to the base through the shortest means necessary, which is through these short little clips and these videos. And it's so to the point, but also it feels so authentic. Like he's going into these supermarkets and he's literally knocking on doors, and he's going tip to tip from like upper New York to lower New York, shaking hands along the way, but also capturing it so people can kind of see where he's coming from. I don't think I've seen any other like politicians go down that route before, where it's something that they're actively like bringing a production team along with them to try to capture these moments and put them out constantly.
Well, let me take you back to 2007 and 2008, where my president, Barack Hussein Obama, and shout out to the new White House in Chicago. Can't wait to go check the real White House out. But he was the first politician at a national level, at least, who took social media by storm. Right?
That's
Yes,
true.
we can. There was a song. To this day, we still bump "My President Is Black." Like, gee, that's still go hard anyway.
Yeah, there were like
Um,
200 or that probably maybe even the thousands of websites
Oh, yeah,
dedicated to
to-
promoting blogs, all of
yeah,
these different
all organic, right?
Yes,
Like
grassroots, 100%.
grandma's got, you know, portraits of the family of picture. Like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
put a picture of his new center in my house. Like, there's not many people I look up to, but like, if I had a role model, it's Barack Obama. Like,
Mhm.
hands down. You don't have to agree with his politics. That is a man of men.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
seriously. And he is the most beloved president in the world. And him being alive is probably the one thing that would keep Trump from running for his third term, because if Trump can run, Obama can run. He does not want that smoke. He would lose in the landslide. But anyway, I think much like Donald Trump, much like Zohran Mamdani, much like Barack Obama is the greatest orator of our generation,
Mhm.
of our time.
Speaks very well.
So eloquently.
Yeah.
Mamdani is just a natural.
Yeah.
Like, he just got it, right? And you can't train it, right? The it factor cannot be trained. You either get it or you don't. You can train managers. You can't train, entrepreneurs, like people who, create Spanx or Sarah Blakely's. Like, you don't train those. They may get some mentoring along the way, but those are it factors that you just got. And you can't replicate that when you try too hard, when you
Yeah.
try to do something that you're not. It doesn't work. And you also got to think these older politicians, even when they try to replicate it, like it's not them. And
Yes.
they're so caught up into respectability politics that they don't even know like it's okay to come out the suit sometimes, or you know, Barack Obama's signature thing is when he meets kids, he gets on their level. Like it's just a natural thing. And so, as vile and disgusting as that dude is that we have to deal with right now, he's also a once in a generation talent being, whatever. MAGA dies with him.
Mm-hmm.
No one else has the personality. Again, agree with it or not. I don't agree with it, but agree with it or not, no one has the personality that is a Republican
Can fill that shoe.
that can fill
Yeah.
that shoe. Not even close.
Yeah.
You couldn't even try. Nobody would get away. They would send JD Vance to jail for doing the stuff that he's doing. It's a personality thing.
Yeah.
And yes, everybody, even AOC, right? She was just a vocal Twitter person.
Right.
She never like created content or did. That's not her personality.
No,
She's
it's
a
not.
bartender. She's just, and the beautiful thing, I think one thing that allows Ron Mondamini to be so successful and so free and be who he is he's not funded by APAC. He can do whatever he wants to do. You can do whatever you want to do. You're not funded by APAC. When you're funded by APAC, your hands are cuffed.
Yeah.
So that is a natural, that's a natural, just him. He's just who he is. He's young. He's relatable. He gets it. And he's also showing the establishment that all of these rules, all of these things that we feel like we can't do, or it's all a fallacy. Like it's all made up. It's all make believe. And I've always said this, the Constitution is only as good as your willingness and ability to enforce it. It's a piece of paper. It's like a contract. You can sue somebody, but a contract is only as good as their willingness to abide by it, your willingness to enforce it, your ability to pay for a lawyer if you have to fight it, their ability to even have anything for you to take if there's a judgment against them.
Mm-hmm.
It's only as good as that, right? It's all about word. And so, anyway,
The people's binding contract, the Constitution.
yeah, and he gets it. The people get him, and he's affecting real change for real people. And you cannot recreate that sauce.
No, I don't think you
Everybody
can.
needs to own their lane. If you're an older politician, you don't have to go trying to chase what he's doing. Content needs to be a part of your strategy, period, because that's just the time we live in, and that's how you're going to reach people. But for Governor Kemp, it's, again, agree or disagree, is getting a shotgun, shooting it into the woods because he speaks to the people of Georgia. That's natural for him. Why would Mandomini have a gun? You can't have a gun in New York.
Sure.
So why would he do that? You know what I mean? Like, but it worked for Kemp, and he won.
Yeah.
And he's a Republican. I think he's a great governor, honestly.
Isn't like Rick Jackson kind of doing the same thing with the shotgun and the woods?
But it's
I think
not
so.
natural.
No.
It's
True.
not. It's not translating
So
because he's a
obviously,
billionaire. We don't need you to see you do those antics. You have money. Run off of the fact that, hey, I have money. I have business experience. I know how to balance the budgets. He needs to keep it straight for who he is. Old white billionaire.
So to that point, we're going into like a midterm, right? Mamdani is doing something that's working well. He's kind of practicing what he preaches, like even before. Now he's doing the social media. It's converting for him. The results are positive. We're going into this midterm where a lot of people are looking to get elected. What then is the strategy that you guys are thinking that then maybe can take takeaways from what Mamdani is doing to have effects for the midterms for these politicians?
Policy.
Okay.
I think it starts with policy for sure.
We don't care about the content. The content is a bonus. If somebody telling you that they're going to lower your rent, they're going to freeze rent, they're going to make sure you don't have rats in your apartment, I don't give a shit about your fancy videos. If that's what you're going to do it and do it. Say it and do it. Policy.
Yeah.
The video is the icing on top. Policy. It's not
Plus,
about content.
So maybe
also, it's hard to find that policy for this younger generation, right?
Mm.
Previously, we all had people going to newspapers and stuff like that. In my opinion, like the politicians would go out. We know what Zoran Mamdani, what he stands for,
Yeah.
Right.
right? We don't. It's
We're gonna say it together again. Mamdani. You know?
Mamdani.
it's hard to say. But we know what he stands for. And then there's these other people that are out there that we don't really fully know what they stand for. So I think the policies up front on these videos are like what's pushing people.
So is
Go
the
for him.
content the proof?
Yeah.
So
No, I think what he's saying is that in two things. I think from an internet social standpoint, your content should be very direct policy, right? I don't want to read a white paper about your policy.
Mm-hmm.
Make it one or two sentences, or it doesn't even have to be a sentence, a bullet point of what the policy is. All the other context and the asterisks of the policy,
Yeah.
you put that below.
We don't need to know how it gets passed.
Right. We don't give a shit about legislative bill number 54321. What's the policy? Is my rent gonna be cheaper or not? Is my groceries getting cheaper or not? Are you gonna stop people from donating this much money to campaigns or not? Like, I don't care about all the other stuff. It's like if you go to Fox 5 right now, there's a list of all the laws that actually come into effect today that they passed during Sunday. They're not paragraphs. They just some of them have a little bit of explanation because there are some caveats, but they just list what the new laws are. If you want to know the details of the law, you go to the state website and you read all that shit.
Yeah.
That's all I want to know. You got to wear seatbelts in pickup trucks now. You got to do I just want the base of the law. So I think it's making the information easily accessible and easy to learn. That's the thing. It's not about the gimmicks of it or how well produced or whatever his video director's talking about ambient lighting. Most people don't care about that.
No.
But it's just how quickly and to the point the information is in your content.
Well, I guess where I was pointing it out is that Mom Donnie came on those points, but like he's using social media for like proof of his points now. He's like, we're gonna go and tax the rich, and he does it right behind the apartment like that's empty, and he's like,
we're taxing the rich today.
And then he just points up, and then that's like actually like a direct example. Or he's like, I'm gonna fix potholes in New York, and then he's going around fixing potholes. Then there's another one, I can't remember it like off the top of my head, that was like showing the proof of the thing that he was trying to do. Going, today is the day I'm enacting it, and I'm gonna like practice what I preach. And like people comment about like the revolution is gonna be televised. Like he's essentially using social media to be like, these are the things that I'm doing, and I'm showing it, and I'm proving it like in the moment. And then that's what causes like almost a cyclone of like reinforcement.
I read an article this morning. I can't remember the guy's name. But it was a guy, and it was about how he went up against like Pillsbury and all these other companies to bid out and buy this company.
Okay.
And they won. But here's how he won. A couple years before, and he didn't have a fund or anything, but he started a company to go out and do leverage buyouts, right? Leverage buyout, you use a little bit of your money, you borrow a bunch of money, and then the future cash flows pay off the debt, and that's how you finance the company. So he does this leverage buyout, and he gets these investors a 90-to-1 return on their money. Sold the company for $90 million, bought it for $1 million, makes him $90 million. He hires a PR firm, and he goes out and he promotes his stuff, right? Most of the time when you see people that's like, oh, we're the best production company in Seattle, or we won number one, whatever. I got an email this morning telling me how I can become the number one thing if I pay.
It's best coffee, but
but if I pay $500 and I get a fucking whatever. So it's all bullshit.
Yep.
But it's PR. But end of the day, he hired a PR company. He went and advertised this win. It looks like a just regular write-up that, the editor did, that's what PR people do. It's called earned media. You get people to believe that you naturally just got this attention, whatever.
Sure.
He went back and he was able to beat out Pillsbury and them in this other $1 billion deal, which was a leverage buyout. So he took some of his money and his partner's money and borrowed more money, but he had proof of that 90-to-1 return for the investors from the first deal. So regardless of that, these people are at the table and they got all this money and they can buy the company. Can they prove this 90-to-1 deal? And so my point is kind of what you're saying. He's showing proof of his work. That's what this guy did. He just did it in a magazine ad, right? He took out an op-ed or whatever in the magazine. Mom Donnie is saying, hey, this is what I told you I could do. Here's the proof, right? It's like reporting your KPIs, right? Like I said I was going to do this. I'm checking off these boxes. He's just doing it with social media. So again, whether you do it in the form of content, whether you do it on the website, whether you go get on the radio show and do it, you got to be announcing your wins. You got to be telling people like, hey, I hit these numbers. Hey, we've increased, enrollment by 100%, or we dropped, rats by 90% or whatever it is. You got to go out there and broadcast your wins so that people know, like, they want to know that you're doing the thing you said they're doing, and he's raising the stakes for everybody else.
So I agree with that. So if you look at someone like, obviously you have Mom Donnie who's doing it, and then you look at like Trump. I've looked at like the engagement on like both types, where like the White House kind of tries to do the same thing, where they say they were trying to flex their wins. Mom Donnie kind of flexes their wins, but I feel that the engagement on those are drastically different.
Yeah, because one is the truth and one is a lie.
On Truth Social,
We know that it's a lie.
On True,
Like we all know that it's a lie. So why?
Sure.
Of course we're not engaged. It's just like the
Yeah.
fair. Like they're not coming to the fair. Why do you think they're gonna engage? We know it's bullshit. We literally watch ICE shoot this lady in the street, and then we watch them say the complete opposite. Like we have eyes. We can see what you see. So yeah, no, we're not gonna engage with this nonsense.
the public,
They're not
the
stupid.
public can naturally just tell if you're inflating the truth simply to show face, right? Like it's pretty obvious. And at that point, it's all about showing receipts, and that's where proof is in the pudding. You post a video saying, "Hey, I'm going to reduce rent, or I'm going to make transit free, or I'm going to give you money to go get groceries every single week," and that gets 30 million views. Same could be said for anything that Trump had said. If he had put out a position and enforced that position, and then maybe a year, 2 years down the line, hey, that thing that I said I'd do, that's real. It's happened. This is going on right now. Like if they could, if politicians could do this and actually like capitalize on their positions, it would continually raise them up as well too. Like it wouldn't be something that would be, I think, negative for their political career. It's shouting out their wins at that point.
So do you feel like that they need better content? So like to that point, now that
I think you need a certain type of person. First and foremost, you need somebody similar to Mom Donnie or Trump, where they are like, they're content guys in a way. Like Mom Donnie had a rap career, a little known rap career before he became mayor.
Donnie had a rap career.
Like he's used to being on camera. He's used to creating content. Trump, right? He had a full-on TV show. He's been in the public light for years. And we don't need to get into it, but this is kind of like my thought process is when you have these people that have strong political opinions, but aren't in politics, but are good on camera and have a backing and creating content, is it worth for them to try to break into the scene? Like, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I don't know if he'd be a great politician or not, but he's definitely got the ear of America and pretty much the rest of the world.
Look at like Arnold Schwarzenegger, that's how he got
Governor.
California. Yeah.
Wasn't Reagan also in Hollywood?
Yes, Reagan was the union president.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, that's why he ran for governor, was because I forget, it was something about a labor dispute or something about it had something to do with the union and the labor is why he ran. And he was just extremely popular. And they had Hollywood behind him.
Yep.
Like
he was like the original. He was the original.
Yeah, like celebrity to
politician.
Yeah, but the thing is not so much that they can create the content, they can say the right thing to get into the position. It's what Mom Donnie's doing, and that is where he's proving it with like what his actions are within the role. Like, and you can, like I said, you can tell when it's all just to save face and to show that, oh, I did the thing, even though it's totally not what I had said originally.
Yeah.
But it's just moving forward and proving that your position was actually your position that you believe and stand by, but also having the expertise in content and creating content to be able to show that to the audience as well.
Yeah, I think on last point, I think that in all of this, right? I know we're here talking about content, but for anybody that's listening or whoever sees this, it's the same way I teach about video engineering, right? When I show you a setup, when I show you a show, I don't want you to remember the setup of this show. I want you to remember the theory of ins and outs and what needs to talk to what. If you try to remember this show, if I teach you on this camera and you try to just remember this camera, aperture is aperture. F-stops are F-stops. Record button is a record button. You're just got to figure out where you find this thing on the camera. What's more important is that you know why you're using it or when it's needed. Same thing with this Mom Donnie situation. If your position in it is how do I make content like him, then you're doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
How do I message like him? How do I convey my messages? Whether it's gimmicky, you can be talking straight to camera, boring, standing in front of a white wall. If you talking the right talk, we'll listen, we'll watch. Sure, this will make it look better, but it ain't about the gimmicks. It's not about all of that. Like, that helps. Yeah, it drives views. It drives engagement. It helps. But at the end of the day, if you do what you say you're going to do and you convey your message with the gimmicks or without the gimmicks, the people are going to believe in you. So you shouldn't be trying to copy the content strategy. You should be trying to copy the honesty and the follow through.
Mhm.
That's what you need to be copying.
I would agree with that. So I'm getting cues for producer to, we got to wrap it up for today. So takeaways. So takeaways from this, like learn how to message and be authentic. The going back to Circle, the barriers to entry are getting cheaper, but creating authentic products of these live events is ultimately where things are heading, and we have to find ways to ultimately bridge that gap in terms of delivery and outcome versus like expectations. Is that I feel what are your takeaways, Garrett?
I think that that's totally right. Barrier to entry is broken way open, but we still need to find ways of producing the content as best as we can with the new equipment that we have access to over the past 10 to 20 years. So I agree with that.
Sure. Trey?
Yeah, I mean, again, be authentic. Just know your model, know your people, know the fans, and understand, like, it's like people writing a job post. Like, I applied to 100 jobs and I still didn't get hired. Well, you and 10,000 other people did too. You know what I mean? Like, I know. I mean, again, we feel we have a right to feel how we feel, but
Sure.
and it hurts because you're responsible for your person, but we're not the only ones out there. So it's the same with getting work. It's the same with creating content. Everything ain't gonna go up. You know what I'm saying? You can put your heart and soul into it. It's some movies out there that's great. You know what I'm saying? It's like the difference between a feature and a film, a movie and a film. Films are not meant to be consumed by the masses. Movies are.
I think we need to end on that hook. I feel like that's like the perfect spot to end for this week. Thank you guys so much for joining in on this episode at FQS. I'm Cody. We got
Garrett.
I'm Trey.
Trey.
It was fun, y'all.
Yeah, thank you
This
so
is
much
fun.
for joining
This
us
is
this
good.
week.
Coming out.
And hopefully we see you on future ones. But we'll wrap it up for this episode. We'll see you guys in the next one.
We out.